Hi guys, welcome back for part 5 of What Are These Maniacs Up To? And we're looking at the Pope's visit to Washington, D.C. And I'd like, if this is your first video with me, this is part 5, and all of them are very interesting. I know that they're, you probably can't see all of them because not everybody has all that time. But a good video, if you are interested in the Pope's visit, a very good video to see is the one that I put up just before this set, which is about the alien child advertisement of UNICEF, which has to do with the Pope, and it shows a lot of symbolism about what's going on here. So here we are. They're going to, let me show you the schedule. At 4:15, the Mass at the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. So luckily I didn't have trouble Googling this, or finding this in Wikipedia. They didn't give me a runaround this time. But I want to show you a trick, because so that you can do this yourself. You go to Google Earth. Now you cannot highlight these coordinates. They will not let you highlight. But if you right click on it and you open up a new tab, you'll come to the GeoHack, and you can come up here. Let me show you at the very top. There it is. There's the coordinates, and you can highlight those. Then you put those into your this part of up to the upper left hand corner of your Google, and press search, and it should bring you here. So I want it. So here we are. There's some interesting, this is basically a cross that has, I think these Freemason crosses have these extra crosses on the top of them. There's a lot of interesting numbers here. Let me just show you, well, first of all, before we get there, I was looking at this area, and there aren't a lot of pictures in here, but the parking lot here says it's the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception, which maybe means this parking lot goes to the church. But we have a park here that has a boot in it. And since I have been studying these guys, I know that these things are not accidents. So there's a reason. There's a reason. And they do call Washington, D.C. the Little Vatican. So that's always, you know, the symbolism is always there under the surface. There are some interesting things just geomancy-wise about this. The Cathars built their cathedrals with headings, and this one does have a heading too. When you're zoomed down on this, it won't show it unless you pull it past the building. So the line is there. I'll leave it right here to show you. This is 0.08, and 8 is the number that equals the cross. It is the cross of the infinite loop of time, and it's also the cross of brain anatomy. There's a crossing behind your two eyes where it's called the chiasma, where the information meets from the two eyes, and that's also symbolic of that cross. And the pineal gland is between the two eyes there, next to that crossing. So there is some Christ, pineal gland, let your eye be single type of idea there. Then also I just need to point out that the 352 heading, I think this has to do with just being a certain degree off of the hold on, yeah, sorry to stammer. I think 352 days in a year, right? Am I wrong? Because it seems like when I add new information to my brain, some of the things that I knew falls out, like easy things like, wait, how many days are there in a year? Let me look that up. Hold on. All right, sorry for that brain tornado. It's like Sharknado. It's like some of my facts just, whoops, they're gone. But I looked up this, and this is 352nd day of the year is December 18th. And that might be what they're referring to with this number. I don't want to go too far off track. But these days are really important. Also the anti-date. So this would be 13 days to the end of the year, so then you would look at also the anti-date of that. All right, well, it's possible it could be a Saturn worshipping type of connection, because Saturn's moon was supposedly discovered in 66 on this day. So they pick these days really really carefully, and we just have to kind of hold the details in our head long enough to make the connections. Well, scrolling out, I wanted to show you this larger triangle that is formed by the Basilica on the right, and the Nunciate Hoedown, and or the Washington National Cathedral, which is just a little bit off of this line, as it comes toward the ellipse that we already talked about in another video. And I just want to show you this symbolism right here. this shadow in the background is from a Solomon's Temple overlay that's not quite invisible yet. So I just want to show you this symmetry here. And the distances and the headings is what I tried to figure out for you right there. Now, I think I forgot to show you something on this area. Let me go back to this. I meant to show you this because that is that building on the left where I put Nunciate Hoedown. That's where the Pope's going on the 22nd. Yes, the 22nd is. This is the coat of arms for the Archdiocese of Washington, and that is the home of the Archdiocese of Washington, I believe. I can't think of all the words. Well, anyway, what I want to show you here is we have the cross, and the cross is coming into play in Washington, D.C. This is, I believe, Isis. And this is, they consider Isis, Diana, Artemis, you know, the Statue of Liberty to be a moon goddess. This is not a moon. Have you ever seen our moon make this shape? The occluding celestial body right here is much smaller than the lit body. This is an exoplanet, and this exoplanet, if you look at the ancient artwork, is often associated with the 7 stars of the Pleiades. So I believe that this is an exoplanet of maybe the main home headquarters of the Pleiadians, and that ties to different kinds of activities that the Pleiadians have had on Earth. And also, this ties to it ties to the Basilica, because this is a national shrine of the Immaculate Conception. Well, the ancient sky goddesses, who have a lot of Pleiadian symbolism in them, and they were worshipped or honored by the Cathars as being connected with the Holy Spirit and the dove. Dove, a flock of dove, means Pleiadian in Greek. And these ancient Egyptian sky goddesses from like Tefnut, Tefnut is the grandmother of Isis. Going back, there's a bunch of them, and they're on different levels. There's like deeper sky, and these are waters, the waters of the sky that are separated from Earth by the firmament. I think the Bible did actually get that part right. I was kind of shocked when I finally decided that I think that might be right. Anyway, these guys are parthenogenic. Parthenogenic, that means they do not need a man. They do not need the opposite sex to make a baby. Now, I don't know if this makes them holy or, better than us. I think it just makes them a different species than we are. So when these guys, and I believe this is my little, if this is your first video with me, this is one of my soapboxes that I talk about from time to time, is that the Nephilim are the fallen ones who kind of violated their own rules about getting involved with life here on Earth. They were supposed to be the watchers. The Pleiadians, I believe, did come and have some genetic. They tried to speed up our species. You could either look at that benevolently or not benevolently. They tried to speed up our species for better evolution. Some of them fell. Semjaza is supposedly the leader of the away team that fell, and he's a Pleiadian. Well, anyway, this Immaculate Conception has to do with parthenogenesis. And if you look at Isis, she's associated with birds, especially a white vulture. And the academics try to make the Egyptians look dumb by saying that the Egyptians thought that the white vulture was parthenogenic, and that's why they use that as a symbol of parthenogenesis. I think that's a distortion, because usually the distortions are an effort to make the Egyptians look dumb, and if anybody's dumb, it's not the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians. So this ties into the idea of this basilica, and it ties into that of what the Pope really knows. And if you look at this front here, this it looks like there might be 12. I can't get in. Maybe I could grab this copy image. Hold on a second. Yeah, there's 12 on there, and the Vatican was responsible for killing the Cathars, and their churches had 8, which is the Christ symbol. This is more of a raw symbol because it has the 12 outer, and then you can see the inner. That's the 13th, and that's why we see the number 13 in a lot of these codes that are laying around. So this is a Ra symbol right here on the front of this Immaculate Conception Church. Now, the Ra tie-in with Isis is that Isis, according to the story, now these are told in terms of persons and as if these are real people, and maybe they are, but really I think that much of the ancient spirituality stories are about concepts that become personified. So the story goes, and what you do is you think of Isis as a concept, like she could be, the Illuminatus observer talks about her as being the spoken word, and Osiris being the written word. And Ra, I'm coming to believe, is more like he's the first creation after the 4 sounds of the Ogdoad, of the Ankh. So he's kind of like the Egyptian Adam, perhaps maybe even of another solar age. We're in the 5th solar age right now, and I believe that this is wisdom that has leaked over, probably in a distorted way, from the 4th age. But these guys worship Ra because of Marduk Ra. Now, Marduk Ra was of the 5th age. And I believe he's a long-lived Pleiadian, and I believe he's still with us. And I think that's why these guys are so serious. They have a reason for building and doing all these things. They're very serious about their religion, and I think they have a reason to be serious, that I think this guy's still alive. Well, anyway, the story of Isis and Ra, the connection here, because we can see that this is about the Immaculate Conception. They are talking about Isis. They're talking about Horus. Horus is the Christ character of the Egyptians. If you go see my video on Paris, it talks that you can see Isis. There's a picture either way of basically the Virgin Mary holding the Christ child, but it's also an overlay of Isis and Horus. And Horus, as a child, was called Harpocrates, and this is why Oprah calls her studio Harpo, because she knows this. All right, well, okay, the Isis-Ra connection. I know I'm getting a little off track here. Ooh, okay. So Isis, according to the story, she tricked Ra into giving up his name, which is the secret word. And I've done some videos recently that are going to be coming up probably directly after this set. I'm going to push this set to the front of the line about the secret. I did a 3-part decode on just the word secret and the word word. Now, the secret word is very important in the beginning of the Bible. They do say, first there was the Word, and the Word was God. There's a lot of distortion in the Bible, but they do put some nuggets in there, and they have to mix it up. See, if they didn't put nuggets in there, that wouldn't be fair, and the Freemasons think that they're very fair and gentlemanly, so they throw it in there, and then you have to figure it out on your own. You have to sift through pan for gold nuggets. Well, anyway, so she tricks Ra out of giving his name. So then, according to the Illuminati, Isis is the one who has the secret word. So that makes her powerful, and that's why they kind of worship her and they put her everywhere. So that goes back to this. Okay, scrolling, where to go? Let me pause it while I find this. So that is why on this coat of arms right here, we do not have Jesus. He's not, on the cross. He's not, sitting, posing in a meadow. He's not doing any photo ops here at all. But we have Isis. Inanna Ishtar, she was supposed to have wings, and this is her planet. So this is why she is the one who has the secret word. This is why they worship Ra and they worship her. Now, the secret word, according to Illuminatus Observer, is pi. And the reason why is because pi equals 17. That's the Q. This is the power symbol of the UN. The Pope's going to go to the UN, so, stay tuned for that video. I'm going to tear that one up, tell you what's really going on if you want to know. But pi interrupts phi. This is their religion, guys. I know this is just like, this is a little out in left field if this is your first time. Pi interrupts phi. Here we have Philadelphia. If you look at Philadelphia from the top, they drew Isis there too. I have a video on that. There's a picture of Isis right there in Philadelphia, but Philadelphia is actually shaped like this, and this is the Delaware. The Delaware is the first state, and that's because being aware, sorry, you don't have room to write this, aware is your most important state. That's why they made it the first state, because they're making notes to themselves. They don't mean for you to understand this, but I'm trying to help you understand, because I think you're ready. All right. I think I don't know if I'm going to sign off yet. Hold on. Let me make sure I showed you everything. So before I'm done, I'm going to have a little place of every place here that the Pope goes. But you can already see this geometry forming, right? Like this is almost like a bigger chevron of this one, this inner chevron that I talked about. So it says here that they are going to canonize the Reverend Juneripo Serra as a saint. If you want some homework, you should look this up, because I'm going to try to just skim over the top here, but because they put this in here, he's coming to do this, I think this is probably a pretty good piece of the pie, so to speak. Pun intended. And then they're going to greet seminarians and novices, and about 30,000 people will attend this Mass. All right, well, here's a picture of Juneripo Serra, who they are going to turn into a saint, and he's posing here with a naked Indian boy in a what to me seems like a disturbing fashion. He died on 8/2/8/884, and I've talked to you about the 84 number tie-in with Obama and the Vatican, so this might be why they have picked this person. Also, this has to do this. I guess it just ties in the geography of California, and it ties in Columbus, and so I think it just ties in a lot of those kind of things. All right, well, stay tuned for the next section of What Are These Maniacs Up To, Part 6, for September 24th, when the Pope does the very first thing a Pope ever has never done this before, where he goes and speaks at a joint meeting of Congress, and he does it on 9/24. And it does it at 9:20 a.m. This is the 9/11 number that I've told you about. It says that their speech will be broadcast on large screens on the west front of the Capitol. We'll take a look at that. And the Pope will make a brief appearance at the speaker's balcony in front of the Capitol building, which means he will be looking down. He will be looking down from the bottom of the cross. Or you could see it as looking up the cross or looking down the cross. But he will be here looking down the cross as the cross faces the dying sun. All very symbolic. All right, well, hope you join me for the next edition of What Are These Maniacs Up To, and I hope you're having a good day. This is Dana Ninesong. Talk to you soon.